Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. We're going through the 5th episode of my podcast called It's Just Personal. And I'm super excited about today's episode because we're titling it Growing Up in the Flathead Valley. And the reason why I think that's kind of cool is sitting with me is Sonja Burgard, and we both, the two of us, have grown up in the Flathead Valley, which seems to be becoming more and more rare. So we're excited to unpack that today. So welcome, Sonja. Thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It'll be great. So I want to give you guys a little background on Sonja and I. I remember of course, the point of this podcast is relationships. And so Sonja and I met probably a year and a half ago. Actually, it's probably exactly a year ago. Officially, I think we had talked a couple of times, but we met at a title company, and this just goes to show what relationships are all about. We sat down, and we probably spent 20 minutes together, and we ate tacos.
Oh my God, those tacos.
They were good.
They're so good.
Yes. And it was as simple as that. We had a couple conversations about some loan products, what she was battling with on the real estate side, because Sonja's a local real estate agent and a broker too, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You have a broker's license?
I am.
Yeah. And you're also one of would be considered a top producer in the Flathead Valley, correct?
I am.
Yeah. You can say, yeah. Woohoo.
Yeah.
So,
I have built that.
Good.
Pretty nice.
Awesome. So we were talking about some of the things you were battling, and just you had a couple clients that needed some help, and that, of course, morphed into me being able to help you, which was a lot of fun. And so my encouragement is go to events, right? And talk to people, and you don't know what will happen as you build a relationship. So,
right.
But let's go ahead and dig into you, Sonja. So tell me a little bit more about your background. You said you moved to Montana when you were 3. So where'd you go to school, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I grew up in Kalispell and graduated from Flathead High School just a few years ago. And went away for college and moved to Boise, Idaho, and got married. And we moved to Choteau, Montana for a little bit, my husband and I. And then when we were about to have our first child, we moved back to Whitefish. So that was in 2004.
Okay.
So yeah, I moved around a little bit and came back home.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sounds good. What was in Boise?
Let's see. I got my master's in art education there at Boise State. And then I taught for 2 years at a private art and science school.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're teaching at the private school. So then you come back to Whitefish in 2004, you said, right?
Yep.
So have you entered the real estate business yet at this point?
No, I have quite a background of different careers.
Sweet.
So yeah, I did the teaching, and then we moved to Choteau, and I also have a photography degree. That's my undergraduate from Montana State. And so I went back to my photography, taught a little bit, always thought I would get back into teaching. Meanwhile, we also opened a restaurant in Bozeman. And so we opened that from Choteau, and we went down there quite often. And so I have a restaurant background, teaching background. And then I opened one when we moved over here and our daughter was 5. I opened one here in Whitefish. And then I ran that for 3 years.
Okay.
And sold it and had maybe half a year off and just decided I'm going into real estate. It just hit me like.
Nice. And you need a half a year off after owning a restaurant. I can attest to that.
Yeah. So, and my husband and I had invested in kind of accidentally flipped 5 houses just from our moving around. So I was very interested in it, and I was passionate about it. And my friends would always call me and say, "Hey, do you know about that house?" Yep, I do. And I would drive by places with them and go on showings with them. And I just kind of knew all about it. And then so during that time off, it just absolutely smacked me in the head. Like, why don't you do this? And 3 weeks later, I got my license and started up. So
that is great.
Yeah.
So I did this is kind of just in the line of what we're talking about. Did the restaurant ownership, the photography, the things you did beforehand, did those help you as you entered real estate because of the relationships you built with people, or were they kind of separate?
No, 100%. So when I got into real estate, I was like, this is so awesome. I love it. It's so fun. And I said, why didn't I do this 20 years ago? And then I thought, because everything I did built who I am, and that makes me the agent and broker that I am today. So I needed that. I needed to work with all these students and parents and faculty, and then with all my customers and my staff at the restaurants. And then, of course, having a restaurant here, having a kid in school system, I'm pretty alive in the community. So I'm out there. So yeah, it absolutely helped.
Good. I had a restaurant job when I was a kid. That was my first job. I worked at a local restaurant. And my dad has phrased the term restaurant university. And he thinks that everybody should work in a restaurant at some point in their life.
Yeah.
Because you learn those people skills. You learn how to work as a team with other people. And you kind of learn how to do some hard work too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's so important.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
So we had a restaurant for a few years too. So it's kind of fun to relate with you on that.
Way.
What did you, what were your biggest challenges? Like, did you have a reason for why you sold? I guess I'll put it that way. Or was it just the way it worked out?
No, the reason was, it was fun. I loved it. Great. I loved my staff. I love the food. I love being a part of it. We were in the black ever since we opened. It just wasn't enough for me, what I needed and for my family. So after 3 years of it, and I knew my payoff would have been like 5 to 7 years. As my daughter was getting older, I was like, I'm done. I gotta be with her more. So, and just focus on what was important to me for family.
That's great. We noticed, everyone, when you own a restaurant, everyone assumes that you're just, crushing it. Right. But I don't think people understand how much time goes into it. So I think that's kind of what you're alluding to is
exactly. Yeah.
You were not getting time with your family because of the restaurant, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or, income wise for me, I was, I wanted to, of course, put everything back into the restaurant and my staff, which, and I knew it wasn't going to be all about me for a little bit, but I just lost it. My patience. I'm like, I can't do it.
And it's hard.
Yeah, it's
oh
a
my
lot.
gosh.
So,
yes.
And I just wanted to give the restaurant the opportunity to go to the next level too. So we had a buyer and
cool.
I'm like, go for it.
and work great. Yeah. Good. Awesome. Okay. So so you come to Whitefish in 2004. So help me out with the timeline here because you got the restaurant there. When did you officially get your real estate license?
I got it in 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we opened the restaurant in 2010 here.
Okay.
Yep. After we had been here for a little bit, but the one in Bozeman was going. So yeah, then we sold it, I guess 2014 maybe.
Okay.
And then I took that time off and I got my license in 2015.
Okay. Awesome. Great. Okay. So then let's hit photography real quick too. How does that fit into this? Did you do that professionally for a period of time?
I did.
Okay.
I did. So yeah, I got my undergrad in photography from Montana State, and I did lifestyle and portraits and catalog work. So I would send images to Patagonia and get those published, and that was super fun, So my husband and I rock climbing and traveling and camping, and
living the dream.
And so sending those in and getting all excited when one got published, and and then that morphed into portraits and weddings.
Okay.
So I did that kind of work too.
I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about how much weddings have changed in the Valley now that we are a destination wedding spot. So, are you going to ever do some more wedding photography?
I don't think so. I'm going to leave that now to those pros. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's because you have real estate. You don't need photography.
No.
That's great.
But it did give me the eye, I feel like I have that, good eye for
absolutely
aesthetics in a home and how to present a property too. So that's been kind of cool.
Good. Awesome. Okay. So then what would you say? So you look at the world of real estate, you have your broker's license. There are sometimes people would refer to as niches, right, within the real estate market. Would you say that you have a particular niche, or do you do everything? What's your specialty in the world of real estate?
Yeah. So in the Flathead Valley, we, as agents and brokers, we kind of do it all, at least mostly all of it. So heavy on residential for sure, buying and selling, homes, second homes, are big. Relocating is one of my biggest. People coming here looking for a home. I love that. Because I can help them understand the area and all the nuances of the neighborhood. But I do commercial too, multifamily. I just put on a quadplex this morning.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Land, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. So, mostly residential for me. And a lot of second home. I love waterfront, of course. Yeah.
Do you like, if you look at the type of buyer you enjoy helping, is it more the investor mindset or more the first time home buyer, or is it truly both?
It's kind of both.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a different excitement for each. There's like the first time home buyer, it's super exciting, so brand new. And I do so much educating. And then, if it's an investor or a second or third time home buyer, second vacation home, they're educated and knowledgeable. They've been through it. And so then we're just in it together. We make a team,
Exactly.
So, we're a team with the first time too, but I'm hand holding a ton. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Great. No, I see that too in the world of mortgages. You're right. There's a different type of, it's like you hear the left and right side of the brain.
Yeah.
Logic, artistic, right? Like it's almost the same thing with a first time home buyer and an investor.
Right.
It's like two different worlds.
Right. I mean, the preference, goes to, who are we making a good team with?
Exactly.
Who do we, we work well together. We communicate well. That's
who do you
kind of
mesh
key.
with?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you moved here or you came here when you were 3, went away for a little while. So what about Montana draws you back day in and day out? Are you an outdoors person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Nice.
We lived in Boise for 4 years. Loved it. And I fall in love with a lot of places I go. I go travel and I'm like, I could live here. But nothing beats Montana. I mean, it's like in my blood, I can't leave.
That's good.
It's the water, the mountains. And I love Glacier National Park. It's my backyard. So
yeah,
it's fabulous.
I've had a chance to travel quite a bit and I completely agree with you. Especially for raising a family too, because I have young kids.
Yeah.
And the people in Montana beat the people everywhere else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
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 It's not really even close, but.
Right. I love it. It's just
Nice.
everything about it.
So, okay, I want to hone in just for a moment on real estate as it sits today. So we are, for those of you watching, we are in a mortgage rate environment that's at a 20-year high, which has created a challenge for particular home buyers when you add to the fact that we've seen crazy amounts of increase in price over the last couple of years. So we're, I'm curious to know what you think is going to happen in the next 12 months as far as real estate goes in the Flathead Valley.
Well, let me get my crystal ball out.
Yeah, exactly.
I always say this about the Flathead Valley. People want to be here. They want, just like we just talked about, why are we here? People want to be here. So I feel like we're slightly insulated. We're a little bit of a bubble compared to the nation. There's places that are seeing decline and slow sales, and there's always shifts here. We certainly feel those, but I don't have a fear that there's sort of any sort of crash or we're gonna fall flat on our faces. I have confidence that things will continue to move and sell. It's certainly not the frenzy it was in 21, but that couldn't have sustained, and that wasn't fun. It was wild. But yeah, I know our prices have gone up, and it's a lot of education now. Educating sellers on the value of their home. It's not 2021. Our prices have gone up. We're hanging in there. We're sustaining. But so we have to educate the sellers and buyers. And so just a lot of education. And
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So as an expert in your field, would you consider that we are in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or right in the middle.
I was just talking to a client yesterday.
Yeah.
They were talking about listing, and she says, we've done a CMA, a market analysis on their home multiple times over the past year. She says, can you do another one for right now? And I had to explain to her, because she asked about the market, and this is honestly how I feel, is that it's not a seller's market and it's not a buyer's market. So we're right in the middle. I feel like
I agree with you.
that's what I see out there. Buyers are negotiating; they're coming in under, and sellers are having to come down on price. So it's more of that meet in the middle feeling,
which, in my opinion, is a healthy thing. And it's because then and I think probably as an agent, that's when you have the ability to really demonstrate your value to your clients, because now it is like 2021 was. Sellers would say, what's your highest and best price? And if we don't like it, go pound sand, right? I mean, that was kind of the narrative of that year.
Sellers had
100%
the hand.
And so if you're a seller's agent, great. If you're a buyer's agent, you're just like, all right, you ready to get out your checkbook?
Right. I know. That was hard.
Now you get the chance to really negotiate, I think.
Yeah, we're fully back into negotiating.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy negotiation?
I like the price negotiation.
Yeah.
When it gets down to inspection period, that's not my favorite.
Does it feel like nitpicking? Is that
a
kind
little
of
bit?
yeah?
If it gets nitpicking, and I'm really not in the business of furniture,
Sure.
So when we start throwing in, I want this and that, and it gets a little tough there.
Yes.
That's like, okay, do we want the property? Let's get everybody to a meeting ground on the property, But you're always going to have those little things, so it's a bunch of navigating on that.
Absolutely.
In that part.
No, I agree. Okay, so I also like to ask this question of people, because I think it requires that we think. You have a long history in the Flathead Valley, multiple businesses that you've either owned or run. Now you're a real estate agent with a broker's license. So I'm imagining that a lot of the business that you do today is an outpouring of the business you've done in the past. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
We're very much so a referral network in the area.
Yeah. Yes.
So what if you had to peel all that away? So all your past experience is gone. All your past relationships are gone. All of your, they say that the best way to sell is to do a great job on a transaction. So all that's gone. What would you do to build your business if you had to from the ground up as a real estate agent?
Wow, that would be brutal.
Yes, it would be.
That would be so brutal. Let's see, being where I am now, going way back, would I know people in town? Would I still have connections?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
There's some,
but limited for the sake of the example.
Okay. I would, number one, put myself out there in the community and volunteer, get to know people. And I'd write down my 10 biggest fans and reach out to all of them and ask them if they know anyone that I could help them with real estate.
So very intentional and focused on a. So that's actually really important, I think. So it's a smaller group of people that you would target primarily, rather than casting a wide net.
That would be my first line of
what is that? Do. What's the advantage of that to you?
I feel like your top fans really know you on a personal level, and they already trust you, and they see how you operate in life. They might not know me as a broker, because if you're saying I might be brand new, at least I have no experience.
Yeah, exactly.
So they know me and they trust me and they want to support me. So you find those people, and it could be your mom.
Sure.
It could be the hairdresser. Just because I've had my same hairdresser for 20 years, So you have a conversation with them and say, hey, look, I'm just starting out. I appreciate you. I know you know me and trust me. And if you have any friends or family that I could help in real estate, I would really love the chance or the opportunity to prove myself. So I would start there.
Okay, good. And the reason I like to ask this question is because it's almost always answered the same way, and it's that you would rely on relationships that you currently have. And that just speaks to why I like to talk to people on this topic, is because if you look at the fundamentals of, you could say business, sure, but even one step further, life, you need those top fans in your life in order to be able to do what you need to do. And then that grows naturally from there, because they have their top 10 fans, and then they have their, and you just start to build this network. So
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you stripped away everything. So I told you that, and then where I am now is 100% about relationships.
Yeah.
So I not only take very good, careful, mindful approach to all the agents in the Valley. I try to have a good relationship with them and beyond. So with Engel and Voelkers, we're global. So we go to conferences. I'm heading to Miami on Saturday, and to network and continue the relationships I have with agents all over.
Sweet. So I actually did read that in your bio, that you have what is it? You're connecting clients globally.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So say that you are leaving Montana next summer.
Sure.
And you're packing up and you're heading to Georgia, just outside of Atlanta or something. I know agents in Atlanta, and they can, and I've vetted them basically. So because I go and I meet them, I see them every year. I see them at conferences. We communicate and we keep in touch, and I know they're going to take good care of you. So, I would want that. And so I connect you guys. And likewise, I've got people all over Dallas. Hey, I've got somebody looking for a ski out condo. And that Dallas agent thinks of me to connect her client to. So
awesome.
And we help each other out.
That is great. That's a huge value add for your clients. We have something similar where we are part of a national mortgage broker group, and it's the same thing. There's a conference annually, and if somebody needs help, and we like to be exclusive to Montana just because why not, right? We love Montana. But yeah, people need, not everyone else wants to be in Montana all the time, so you have to provide value in a different way.
It's good to, you've already connected with somebody and you know them, so put them in good hands, that's good.
So Miami on Saturday, how long are you going to be there?
Yeah, 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm really jealous right now.
I'm ready for some sun.
We have sun right now, but it's just really cold too.
I know, right? Yeah.
So
I'm ready for some sun with flip-flops. How about that?
There you go. Flip-flops. That's great. Awesome. Let's see. So the other thing I wanted to pull out from you is you are involved a lot in the community. So what are some of the events that you attend that you think are valuable for other people to attend that so we talked about how everything was stripped away from you and you had to start over. So what if we were talking to someone who is starting for the very first time, whatever they're doing? Maybe they're an agent, maybe they're starting an HVAC company, who knows? What are some of the good events locally that you would recommend for people to go to?
Okay. So I am on 2 boards. They're not exactly events, but I'll talk about that a little bit too. So I would recommend somebody, getting on a board. I'm on the Whitefish Theater Company board, and I'm on the Hockaday Museum of Art board. And so that's getting to know and helping out nonprofits or organizations. And then we have events, So we have, obviously, Whitefish Theater Company has all the plays. And the Hockaday has openings and art in the park and things like that. So I volunteer at those and I go to those. Those are really great ways of getting out and seeing people.
Cool thing is you probably have fun while you're doing it too, right? It sounds enjoyable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Passionate about the arts and the community. But so yeah, getting out to those types of things. I guess if you dive into things that you're passionate about. So if you have a sports, a kiddo in sports or skiing or something, kind of volunteer on those types of programs or events.
And the main reason is because you want people to know your name and associate your name with what it is you do. Yeah. Right?
It's kind of, hey, she's part of the community or he's part of the community. Get out there and, show the community that you care and you're connecting to
Absolutely.
to real people.
And it's not like you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Zach and I sell mortgages. Do you want one? Right? Like it's not what it's about. And I think that's what you're hitting at.
Yeah.
Is you're volunteering your time for something you care about so that you can get to know people.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's a byproduct, but it's not about that. It's about what it is you're doing, and business is a byproduct of life, right?
Right. It's not like it's a magic bullet to go out and, I went to this wine dinner and now I'm, you got to do it authentically, right?
Yes. People are really good at telling if you're not authentic.
Right.
We like to think they don't understand, but they know.
You gotta be real and authentic and not just expect it to come to you,
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up here pretty soon. One of the questions I like to ask real estate agents is that I think that because I come alongside buyer's agents quite a bit and act as the teammate in that example. And what I hear over and over again is that it's really important to have a strategy if you're a buyer. And so we talked about the challenging market that we're in. So if you're a buyer and you don't know what to do, what, in your opinion, is the right strategy to employ right now? Let's say you're looking for a single family home. You're qualified for the loan. There's no real concerns you have to handle other than what should I do? How do I approach the real estate market? Am I patient? Am I aggressive? What would you recommend for those people?
So yeah, you did mention that they would be pre-approved. So that is the first step, right?
Yes.
So yeah, get pre-approved. And then shopping for, be realistic, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to get beat down if you're looking out of your budget range. And so being realistic and knowing what your pros and cons are, because nothing's going to be perfect. So making sure you can live with, if there's this con, there's these things outweigh that, and you can deal with it. And that, so I've had buyers really suffer by not having their expectations.
Sure.
Get your expectations in line and understand those, and then be ready emotionally, really. And I guess as far as aggressive or patient, it would depend on the price point and the product. It depends. If they're in the 400 range and it's a single family home in Kalispell that is going to go fast, I'd say be aggressive and 100% trust the people you're working with.
Exactly.
That's tough because when that trust, they don't have that trust, and then they're going to be hesitant and not jump on what they probably should have jumped on,
Yes. Yep.
So, expectations.
Makes sense.
And then depends on the product type. Patience is good for some scenarios.
Sure. Do you think that people, I remember we bought our house in 2017, and it just makes me laugh a little bit because, the message to us was everything's overpriced. Every house is going fast. You got to go quickly. And so as I spent more time in the Flathead Valley, that just seems like it's almost always the mantra, right? Yeah. So, but we probably went through 5 or 6 offers before we got one under contract in 2017.
Wow.
We were at a price point that was really attractive, I think, for young families.
Yep.
But would you recommend that people make a pros cons list in general or per property that they look at?
I think there's probably both.
Okay.
So in general, knowing if the house, everything in the house, all the boxes are checked, but you hear some highway noise or the train, you got to weigh that and say, you're probably going to hear the train or the highway almost anywhere in the valley. So don't walk away from that one just because of that. You know what I mean? So that's the general. And then per property, I suppose hone it down and dig into, the kitchen needs remodeling. Well, but if you get it for a little bit less, then you have a little wiggle room to remodel that. So you can live with it for a minute.
Right. Exactly. And that fits back to what you're saying about expectations, is making sure expectations are properly set.
Yeah.
I completely agree. We're doing a series on homeownership stories, and that's the whole point is you don't, most people don't have a mansion as their first home.
Right.
Most people have a very basic starter home. That's why starter homes are built. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you just think about it and then you go from there. But yeah, I can't imagine someone taking a look at their sheet and going, train noise was not on here as a con.
Right.
Shoot, what do I do? You know,
Right.
then you got to figure it out.
I mean, there's different levels of the train noise for sure. Like it's right there.
Yes.
Okay. You can't live with that.
Exactly.
But if it's in the distance, you got to
Yes.
weigh it all.
Exactly. Great. Okay, so can you conclude for us with just kind of motivating message to people as they manage real estate, but more specifically as they work through their daily lives? One of the things I like to ask people, because when you're a broker, you're responsible for your own income, and that can be scary at times, and it can be rewarding at times. So for people who are maybe considering jumping out on their own, trying to decide if they should take some risk, I believe, would say that taking risk is okay because you've had it work for you. So how would you encourage people that are trying to decide whether they should jump in the pool?
Jump into real estate, period?
Real estate, business ownership. Something that's going to require them to be responsible for their own income.
And to take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have a business plan, I guess. Don't just quit your job and
Ding, ding, ding.
have a plan, have a business plan, because it might sound great, but look at everything on paper and understand that as I'm self-employed, so I have the self-employment taxes, and it's different. Those types of things are different. In health insurance is a little different.
Yes,
I mean, my husband has a full-time job, so we have that through him. But yeah, so you're going to have different expenses, but like for me, it was absolutely worth it. And I guess I am a risk taker.
Good.
But
it sounds like you're a calculated risk taker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a difference.
So when I got into real estate, I said, I want to make as much as I would if I went back to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had that expectation, right?
There you go.
And
Good.
I've done pretty well. So I'm happy about that.
Excellent. So the encouragement is take risk, but make sure it's calculated and make sure you have a plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that sounds totally fair. Cool. Well, hey, thank you very much for joining me today. It was a lot of fun. We hope that you guys enjoy this content, and I'm always looking for other people to interview. So if you want to be on the show, or if you have somebody who you think might want to be on the show, let me know. But yeah, Sonja, it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
This was really fun.
Good.
Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Well, folks, all good things must come to an end. So that concludes today's episode on It's Just Personal. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, you're an all-star. Do me one more favor and subscribe to my podcast on whatever platform you're listening or watching on. It helps me out a lot, and I appreciate it very much. Also, as a people person, I cherish your feedback. So if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to see modified or changed, or maybe you have somebody you'd like me to interview, please reach out to me on my social media platforms. And even better, if you want to be on the show, let's get it on the calendar. All right. Thank you guys very much. And remember, go create a new relationship today. Thanks and have a good one.